Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another webinar at AMC Banking. Today with me again, I have my trusted colleague, Frederik Larsen, who is going to talk to us about search strings in D365 F&O. So, Frederik, search strings, what can you tell us?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Kenneth. Hi, everyone. My name is Frederik Larsen, work as a technical sales advisor here from AMC Banking. And I've received the great honor of showing one of my favorite features in the AMC Banking module, which is search strings, of course. And let's jump to some slides and we'll talk a little bit about, first of all, if anything that I'm going to show you today is not available in your finance and operation module, there has been some updates over the last 6 months or so. So update to the newest module, and then you can do all the same as what I am going to show you.
Yes, and if you have any questions, you can write in the right corner. You can see this questions tab, and we'll try our best to answer these questions during the presentation.
Yes, exactly. All right. So to really understand what a search string is, we need to first understand what AMC's auto matching is. So basically, whenever we import a bank file of any sort, let's say an account statement, into your AMC banking module, whether it's directly from the bank or uploading as a file-based communication, well, then the AMC banking module will try to automatically match your transactions based on the information available. So that means we'll look through things like invoice numbers or customer names or payment IDs or customer bank account, a lot of different things to figure out, well, who have paid this money, how should it be settled, and what should be done with it, basically. Now, a search string is a user-created rule that takes precedence over all the other match rules that you have. So that means that, let's say you create a rule based on an amount of text, so a trigger, we can have it matched to specific accounts or vendors or customers. So basically the auto match in general will try to settle all the transactions with using our default standard rules. And a search string is a user created rule where you can kind of tailor some of these transactions to match to exactly what it is that you want. Let's quickly jump into finance and operations here. And first of all, let me show you our auto match down here. So as you see, we have a lot of priorities, and maybe we'll do another webinar on the auto match section here. But what's important is that the first priority is search string. If a user have created a rule, then that takes priority over anything else. Good. Now, let's try to see some examples. Let me just quickly import a local bank file here. Because of the demo, we'll try again. Import local bank file. Perfect. Import local bank file. All right, no worries. Let me just refresh here.
It's always good to test the system, right?
Yes. I have. There we go. All right, perfect. I'm gonna import a bank statement. It's a count 053 file, an XML account statement containing both incoming and outgoing transactions. And there we go. All right, so this file should have created some posting journals for me. And you can also see inside this that the system tried to auto match some of the transactions. So if we look at our, we've split it into money going into our account and money going out of our account. And if we look into this one, the AP one here, we'll see a posting journal that looks like this. So once again, the system goes through a lot of different priorities. Of course, for outgoing transactions, a lot of these transactions will just be handled by our standard auto match. All the payments you've sent through in your payment journal in AMC will just have a high match and be ready for for posting. But there are, of course, other types of transactions which might show up on your account statement. There could be bank fees or manual payments or vendors that have subtracted money from your account. And we're going to look at a few of these examples today and how to handle it. Good. So if I look at my transaction number 3 here, there's no match on it. If I look to the right, or if I check out the payment section here, I see some more details that has been captured from my account statement for this transaction. And looking at the message and looking at the transaction type, it's pretty clear to me that this is a bank fee. Of course, there's no settlement towards this. This needs to be posted on a ledger account of some sort. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my ledger account, and then I'll show you how to create a rule to automatically match to this ledger account in the future if we see this message or transaction type. Let's do bank fee here. That sounds right. All right. So I received an account statement. One of these transactions couldn't match automatically. I selected the right ledger account based on the transaction text, and I could just post it. But the unfortunate nature of bank fees is, of course, that it's going to come back again next month or next week or something, and I'm going to see another transaction just like it. So what I really want to do is teach the system that when it says fee in the transaction text, maybe if it has this specific transaction type, which is also something with fees, well, it should just go to this ledger account automatically. There's no reason why I need to do that manually. There are 2 different places in the AMC banking module where we can create a search string. One is a quick add search string based on the record that I'm currently standing on. And another is going through the search string table. And we're going to check out both of them. Let's start with the easy one and just press add search string. All right. Now, because I selected the right account for this transaction in the beginning, this system will automatically populate some of the information. It actually fills out all the fields for me. So the first being, the system says, well, I think based on this transaction that you want to create a new rule that says whenever we see the transaction code like this, and we see fee in our search string, well, we want to select the ledger account 618-190, which is my bank fee expense account. And that is, of course, correct. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to press OK. And that's actually it. I've now taught the system that whenever I see fee with this transaction account, it should just go to this bank fee expense. One way to test it out is to revert this back to the way it was before by selecting vendor and running the auto-match one more time. Let's just auto-match the entire journal. So what we'll see now is that the auto-match, as the first priority, checked, is there any user created rules, any search strings created for this transaction? And there was. The line was matched using a search string. And of course, it selected my ledger account in the future. So now, whenever these fees get reported, the system will handle them completely automatically. Of course, for your sake, you need to see how your bank reports your fees. You shouldn't just write fee out here, but actually take a look at the data coming in and ask yourself, is this something I can create a rule for? Good. Let's try creating one the other way. I received a outgoing transaction here where I have a message called MasterCard payment. Let's try to open my search strings down here and take a look at the view that we have here. So first of all, we see the search string that was created just before. We see that there's a transaction code, and if it contains fee, it should select this. But we actually have some more options here, right? We can change the search operator from contains to is exact or begins with or something. And we can look at other limits of when this search string should run. But for now, let's create our other one. We're just going to do like this. Oh, and of course, I need to ask myself, is this unique? Is this the only the correct transactions that will actually trigger this. A classic example on the fees here, if I didn't have my transaction code, which kind of acts as an extra check, but if I just created one for fee, well, then also every time I bought coffee or toffee chocolates, it would also trigger this search string down here and go to my bank charge ledger account. So always make sure that the rule we're creating is unique and that only the right transactions get triggered by it. All right, so I'm creating another one, MasterCard here. And let's see if I have any credit card. Yeah, it's receivable. It doesn't matter. Yeah. All right. So this is another one. Of course, again, I should look at this 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that a date? Then, I mean, we can create a rule for that. Is it an amount? Then that might also differ, and I should maybe only create it on the MasterCard payments section. What I can do down here is I can update my description field. Let's write credit card expense here. And then it will, when it triggers this search string, it will also update the bank transaction text or description on my transaction. So it automatically fills in some more information. All right, let's go back to my posting journal here. And let me run my automatch in here again with my newly created rule. So that's the journal. And what we'll see down here is now my MasterCard payment transaction also has this beautiful rule as a match level. It matched using my search string for MasterCard payments, and in the description field, it wrote what I wanted it to, credit card expense. So these are two simple use cases for search strings triggering based on some text going to a specific ledger account. And I really urge you to look into these recurrent transaction of financial nature, whether it's bank fees or interests or something else, because there's no reason a user should sit and put these in every time when you can teach the system how to handle them automatically. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's run through some more. Let me just import another bank file here and look at some more intermediate use cases. There we go. All right. Now, this is this was a new bank statement that created some new posting journals for me. Now, there's one line in each of them, and they both say the same. They say bank interests. One is for credit going into my account, and one is for debit going the other way. However, all I have is the same text, and maybe my CFO is telling me, well, we need to post these on different ledger accounts because we need to control them differently. So what I need to do now is, well, create a search string, but I need to tell the system that, well, if it's a negative amount, it should go to one ledger account, and if it's a positive amount, it should go to another one. So that is actually simple enough down in my search strings. Also, first we'll create a new one here, bank interest, and we'll select, let's say, the interest receivable. Let's do that one. And then we'll set some limits. We'll say, well, we should only trigger this one if the amount that is paid is greater than 0. Let's save that and create another one with exactly the same one. And let's do interests. Let's do the bank loans one here. All right. And we should, of course, only trigger this one if it is less than 0. So now I've selected two separate ledger accounts to match, even though it's the exact same text that the bank reports. And of course, showing this in my posting journal, if I jump in here and run the automatch for this one, rule, and it's the interest receivables I get there. I could also update the description if I wanted it. And on the other one, perfect, automatch. It's the interest on bank loans. So again, it gives the limits here, gives me a lot of control of when should we trigger these search strings. Good. More examples?
Yes, please.
Let's go. All right. I have another one in my posting journal here. Here, I have a payment going out of my account of 5,003. Now, I actually know what this is. This is one of my vendors who I've agreed with. They can collect money on my account. So they don't actually detail the invoice or anything. All I know is that whenever this specific vendor collects money from my account, this is the text that is added there. So let's copy that, jump into my search strings. Let's create a new one and add that here. And now I don't want to select the ledger account. I want to select the vendor. And I know that this vendor is this one here, Allaudio. However, now that I'm selecting a vendor, I actually have another option that I should look at. And that's this mark as ready down here. Mark as ready kind of tells the system, should you just post this directly on the vendor or customer, if a customer was selected, or should you attempt to look for open settlements for this vendor or customer and try to match those as well based on the amounts. So I'm going to leave this as no and tell the system, well, it should actually attempt to not only match to this vendor, but it should also try to find an open settlement so we can figure out what invoice that they're actually collecting from, even though we don't have the invoice number or anything. So we run the auto match one more time. And the rule comes here and it says the line was matched using my SEPA direct debit account number, blah, blah, blah. And more importantly, the paid amount matches one of the found invoices that they have. So we see a beautiful settlement down in the bottom of an invoice belonging to this vendor, and the system was able to automatically match to that invoice solely based on the amount that was subtracted from your account. Great.
Sounds good.
Yep. All right. And in a very similar nature, over in the incoming transaction part, now I'm looking at money going into my account. So a lot of customers paying money in. We actually have a transaction here. Now we have a name and address called Northwind Invest. I know, because I know, of course, all my customers. I know that I have a customer called Northwind Traders. And well, I also know they are the same. This is a subsidiary. Now, if I had any invoice numbers or payment IDs on this transaction, the system would find it anyway. But since all I have is a name, and that name doesn't equal the name that I have in my customer base, Northwind Traders to Northwind Invest, well, then the system can't figure out who it is that actually paid. So we can help it a little bit along, and we can say, all right, let's jump into our search strings. There, create a new one. Let's do this. And Northwind Invest. Let's select our customer, Northwind Traders. Save this and jump back into my posting journal. Here, run the auto match, and yes, we taught the system, well, this Northwind Invest search string matches to my customer DE011, which is Northwind Traders. And because I didn't have this mark ready, it also looked for an open invoice on that customer and found one, settled it, and it's ready for posting. Good. So what we've seen now is an account statement coming in containing unknown transactions. And we've taught the system how it should handle these transactions because we believe that they will come back again in the future. And therefore, we have now automated it. So in the search string section here, there are some different things that a search string can do. I would say my first advice is, where possible, especially if it's bank transactions, add a transaction code, because these are very often very unique. If it's interest or if it's fees, then it's coming from your bank, and then these transaction codes are usually unique and basically enough in itself. And again, ask yourself, does it really make sense that for my Northwind traders here, that it should look in text and all the other fields here when I know the information is only in my name and address? Again, our number one priority is not having any false positives, and where it triggers a search string for a wrong transaction. So always try to make them as long, as unique, and as limited as possible from where to look, whether it should only be accounted for specific bank accounts, maybe an amount limit, and yeah, try to limit it down. Also with the search operator, should we do a contains anywhere in the text, or should it actually equals exactly, begins with, end with, and so forth. Another thing we can do with our search strings is that we can tell it to not match and select a customer or ledger or vendor, but maybe instead delete the transaction. So that might be useful if I know that some of my payments get posted elsewhere. It could be my salary payments or something. I could create a delete search string for my salary payment saying, well, just remove it from AMC Banking, because I know this will be posted elsewhere, and I don't run the risk of posting this twice, on my bank account. I can also bridge post, meaning post to a middle, a ledger account. If I have posted all my vendor transactions on a bridge account and I receive a sum post, I can teach the system that, well, this is how you recognize this sum post, and this should be posted to a bridging account. Good. Now, let me just jump back here. We didn't use a lot of this. Bank fee, MasterCard, vendors, divide my interest, positive and negative. All right. Now comes the last section for a little bit more advanced use cases. Let's take a look at these examples here. Now, I have some different types of payments. These are, of course, something that I've just written out. But basically, I want to create a rule that looks at the first part, account 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the last part, debit payment. But because we have this date in the middle, which changes all the time, I can't create a string that can match to this without limiting, because I can't just create it on account 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because these two should be posted to different ledger accounts. So it's a little bit of a thought up example, but in general, what we see in front of us is that we need to match to two different things in one string of text. Now, we do have an option for this, which is something called regular expression. It's a much more advanced user case than the other one. It can be a little bit difficult to work with, but basically regular expression, or regex, is a really powerful matching tool that can return a true or false based on a string. And it's really, really powerful in the sense that you can create almost anything, whether it should be matched to this here and then some blanks and then this over here, or whether there should be a line break or capital letters, or basically anything can be done with regular expression when it comes to matching. The only thing is, it's a little bit difficult to do. The language is not very intuitive. Maybe you have some geeks in your IT department who loves regex and can help you. But otherwise, another one that I found is really, really good at regex and that you can use is ChatGPT, actually. So if you just do a prompt that says create a regex that matches to accounts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and debit payments like this, then it just gives me back something. Perfect. There we go. And I can do like this and say, all right, well, with this information, I can match to whatever ledger account and not worry that it will match to the other examples that I have. So a few downsides with this is, of course, that it's difficult to read, right? It's when you've created this and come back maybe 6 months later, you maybe scratch yourself in the back of the head and try to figure out what it was you were trying to do here. But I mean, in the case that it's really needed to match these more advanced matches, then it's a really powerful tool. I would recommend to use the standard limits and the standard search operators wherever possible. But if you do have this need, then use regex for the rest. All right, that's it.
Thank you, Frederik. Well, we hope you enjoyed the webinar. We still have 5 minutes left, so if anybody has any questions, now's the time. I see we get a lot of thumbs up emojis.
Nice.
Which is good, I guess. If you don't have any questions, maybe some remarks, maybe some ideas for another webinar you want to talk about. We talked about maybe the auto matching could be a good webinar to bring up again some other time. Yeah, and like always, we're going to have this every second week. So if you didn't catch this webinar, it's going to be sent to you by mail. We're also going to put it on YouTube. Remember to subscribe to our LinkedIn and also YouTube channel, just to make sure that you get all the newest information and releases. Also, our newsletter, of course, is always nice to subscribe to. Well, yeah, seems like no questions, so I guess you just explained everything to perfectly. That's good. If you have any questions afterwards, you just remind yourself you can always write to us at info@amcbanking.com, and we will get back to you as quickly as possible. Great.
Perfect.
Well,
thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good day, and see you in 2 weeks.